on your side. This is WHAS 11 News.
Right now at 4:30, a trail of terror in Barcelona after that car runs down more than a dozen people. New developments overnight in the search for the suspects responsible.
Now is the time, and right is right.
Not a single no vote from the Lexington City Council following a public hearing about the removal of 2 Confederate statues. What's next in the plan to remove them? And we're just days away from the total solar eclipse. We're on your side with how to safely view the event if you can't get any of those special glasses. We know all too well those are pretty hard to come by at this point in time. Good morning, Kentuckiana. It is 4:30 on your Friday, August 18th. I'm Brooke Hash.
And I'm meteorologist T.J. Shuck. We get closer to the event, and of course the demand gets a little bit higher. The good news is I think we're going to see a few scattered clouds around jumping ahead to Monday, but the rain chances are kind of going away, so that's a good thing. But speaking of rain, we got 2.5 inches here in Louisville last night with all those thunderstorms that came through late yesterday afternoon, and we were all the way up to 96 for the afternoon high. In fact, that's one of our warmest days so far this summer. The good news is the front right on our doorstep here in Kentuckiana, so you see all of the rain has now moved out into southern and eastern Kentucky. A few hours ago, we had a few showers down toward Campbellsville and Columbia, and a few scattered clouds this morning will eventually give way to some sunshine looking good on our Morgan & Morgan HD camera network, Kentucky One Health Cam. Temperature's still warm, and it is still a bit on the muggy side. Notice how those dew points are still in the low 70s, so it feels muggy, but you see the lighter green back here across Illinois and Indiana, so we will see with a west wind slightly drier air as the day wears on, and it's not going to be quite as hot. We're talking upper 80s for afternoon highs as opposed to those low and mid 90s we've seen over the course of the last couple of days. It does look like, other than a stray shower tomorrow, the weekend looks dry, but it begins to heat up, especially as we head toward Eclipse Day on Monday. We'll tell you more about that in the forecast coming up here in just a few minutes.
TG, thanks so much. The search continues this morning for the driver involved in Thursday's terror attack in Barcelona. 13 people dead when a van drove after a crowd of pedestrians, drove them over. Overnight, authorities killed 5 suspects they believe are connected to that attack. Here's ABC's Emily Rao with the latest.
The dead and injured lay sprawled in the street, the bloody aftermath of a terror attack.
Heard screams of people, and when I looked up, saw the white van just knocking people over at high speed.
It was late afternoon when police say this white van swerved onto a sidewalk packed with pedestrians in Barcelona's historic Las Ramblas district. Witnesses estimating that van speeding by at 50 miles per hour.
Everybody started to run because they're screaming from behind, and everybody just ran forward.
Tourists scattering, running for cover as the panic spread.
It was scary not to know what's happening and just seeing people running outside.
The crushed van finally stopping, the driver running away, leaving behind at least 100 people hurt and more than a dozen dead.
How can this be happening in Barcelona?
Investigators say 28-year-old Driss Ukaber rented that van. ABC News learning he was born in Morocco, where he recently visited before arriving back in Spain last Sunday. Police arrested Ukaber and another man, but are still looking for the driver of the van. And 60 miles away, 5 more suspects dead, shot by police in the seaside town of Cambrils, also connected to the attack in Barcelona.
The State Department says 1 American was hurt in the attack, and Vice President Mike Pence also pledging overnight that the U.S. and our allies will find and punish whoever is responsible. Emily Rao, ABC News, Washington.
And we'll be sure to bring you the very latest on this story on air and online at WHAS11.com. Here locally, a $250,000 bond has been set for the man charged with murder in the death of a 7-year-old boy, DeQuante Hobbs. 23-year-old Wyatt Williams was taken into custody Wednesday and indicted on murder. Investigators say after months of gathering evidence and tips, they determined Williams fired that deadly shot, which killed Lil DQ, as he was known, back in May. Police say it happened when Williams got into an altercation with someone during a game of dice outside DeQuante's home. That's when they say he fired a gun aiming to hit someone else, but that bullet went through DeQuante's kitchen window and killed him instead. The judge warned Williams not to contact the boy's family. He is expected back in court again on Monday. Kentucky's Military Heritage Commission will soon decide what to do with the 2 Confederate statues of the leaders that they want removed from Lexington. Council members heard from nearly 70 people during a 3-hour public comment period before unanimously deciding to remove those statues of John Hunt Morgan and John C. Breckinridge from the city's downtown. Thursday's move is in response to the incident in Charlottesville last weekend. There were strong emotions when that final vote was approved. Council members in the council's chamber becoming a place for hugs. White nationalist leader Matthew Heimbach was not at that city hall meeting, but there was some support in keeping the statues in place.
The war wasn't fought just about slavery by a long shot, in case you don't hear that anywhere else.
Now, the state's Military Heritage Commission is going to ultimately decide the fate of these statues. That decision could come later this year. Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin sharing his thoughts on Confederate statues while attending the Kentucky State Fair.
We've got to remember where we came from. We got to know who we are, and we better have a sense of vision and purpose as to where we're going. And we should be very thoughtful with respect to what we think of as the right symbols to show that.
Now, Governor Bevin says the people of Kentucky will help decide what happens with those statues. Also, in the aftermath of what happened in Charlottesville, the Virginia governor is now calling for all of its state's public Confederate statues to be removed and relocated. The governor there says after the events in Charlottesville, he hopes people would agree the statues represent, quote, a barrier to progress, inclusion, and equality. The Virginia state legislature has the authority to remove the Confederate monuments. The governor does not. 4:36 here, authorities are beefing up security ahead of a planned rally in Boston. When we come back, what people can expect to see as thousands get ready to protest in the Commons.